Hey, how's it going? Thanks for clicking on this video. Today I'm going to discuss about some doubles tactics. Starting with the server. When you play singles, normally you're going to serve from here more or less. But when you play doubles, you should serve more at the corner. So when the return comes back cross court and short, when you serve from here, it's shorter distance to the ball, so you cover the court more properly. When it comes to the serve tactics, I advise you to go more for the placement instead of power. Try to hit like 8 serves out of 10, and you can always mix it up, go for the different speed, go for the different spin. Sometimes you can surprise your opponent. Depends on the scoreboard, of course. If you're more advanced, you can always talk about where you're going to serve before each point. Whether you're going to serve to the tee, to the body, or out wide. And I encourage you to go to the net at least once in every single service game you serve. When you decide to go to the net, make sure you toss the ball well inside the court. And after the serve, try to make a couple explosive steps forward. So you can play your first volley closer to the net. So after the serve, when you play your first volley and it's low, try to stay in the point and follow in more at the center. When your first volley is higher and you can hit with a forehand, you can try to end the point maybe. Depends on your skill level and height. When I'm at the net, I'm not too close to the sideline, because when I stay here, I'm no threat at the returner. So when your partner is serving, try to be more or less in the middle of the service box. And where should you stand depends on your server. If your server has a big serve, you can stand even closer to the net, so you can attack. But when your server doesn't have a big serve, you can stand maybe a bit further away from the net. Depends. And it also depends where the server hits the ball. When the returner has a questionable backhand, maybe you can attack more with your position here. When your service partner has a really good serve and he can place the ball good, especially when hitting to the first service box, hitting that tee serve, really try to close in the net, because it's so hard to return the tee serve cross court. So when the serve goes to the tee, really try to poach. So when you stand at the net, try to really be at the explosive position, so you're not standing straight. So you're explosive. And when you decide to poach, always move diagonally. The safest target to go is between your opponents. So when the return comes back low over the net, you should stay in the point. But when the return comes back higher, you should end the point. When the return comes back higher, really make sure you stare at the ball. It's so easy to hit it here with the frame. Make sure that you stare at the ball at contact. And one more job as a server's partner is try to hit the ball and force your opponent to hit their volleys from low to high. So you can hit from high to low. If you have to hit from low to high, then you are in trouble. If you can't get to the return, the biggest mistake is you end up staying here and just watching the ball back and forth, back and forth. So if you can't get to the return, come back here more or less to this position. So when you are here, the returner's partner may be poaching and you leave big area uncovered on the court. So if you can't get to the return, come back few steps to cover the middle of the court. The one other situation is when the returner lobs you, don't stand here and watch your partner getting the ball back. You should recover also back. Maybe at the service line, maybe back to the baseline. Depends on the difficulty on the situation. One more thing, when you are serving and you continue to play, it's important, especially when you feel your forehand is more confident compared to your backhand. The important thing is when you keep playing, you only use your forehand, so no backhand from here. If your backhand is your strength, then maybe you can hit more backhand, but try to avoid hitting backhand here. Same goes when you serve to the ad court, try to use your forehand more on this corner. So you can go inside out forehand or inside in forehand. But with the backhand, down the line shot is much tougher. When you return at the doubles, most important thing is try to get in as many returns as you can. Whatever works for you, you can use it. It's much tougher to return at the doubles compared to the singles. I personally use lob a lot. If you decide to go to the net with the second serve return, try to return cross court and follow in. The most important part is make the server play their shots constantly, especially on the big points. Couple returns here and there could make a big difference. When the server constantly approaches the net and plays serve and volley, try to return in the middle of the court. That's the safest part of the court. So you're not risking to hit your return wide. When you return in the middle of the court, that's where the net is the lowest and you can confuse your opponents. When your opponent has a really big serve, just try to return the ball back in deep. So it's a good thing. One more thing, when you're returning, really show your opponent positive body language by moving your feet, making the split, just pushing through your return. First serve return is all about surviving, but when you have a chance, try to put more pressure on the server team by returning and going to the net on the second serve return. But first serve, just try to survive deep. When you are a returner's partner, I want you to start more or less on this position. So you can see when the server hits his shot in or out. But when the server is really good, you can maybe stand closer to the baseline. But most of the time you should start from here, so you can cover server's partner's angles in the middle of the court. The easiest place to hit on the court is in the middle. Make sure you have your middle court covered. So no shots should go between both players. The middle part should always be covered. As your partner has made successful return, then it's a green light to follow in and maybe end the point here. When the return has been successful, then it's time to cover the net properly. So you can move back and forth. Back here to cover the middle and again closer to the net. Positioning in doubles is really important. You have to learn whether you are on an offensive situation or defensive situation, or whether the current situation is neutral. But the closer your opponent is the further back you should go. But the further back your opponent is, the closer to the net you should be. One thing is moving up, moving back. The other thing is moving right, moving left. For example, when your partner is out of the court, you should move back and in the middle. One thing is sure, if you are at the net, don't stay like this, like a statue on the court, and just stare back and forth. Try to be explosive. Try to show your opponent that you're moving. It, of course, depends on the level. When you play against the players who are really good, things are getting tough. But still, try to give your best. Try to come to the net after the serve, after the first serve, or with the second serve return. When you play on the point, when the ball is short, that's also green light to come to the net and put more pressure to your opponent. Sometimes you can come to the net without a racket. Your opponent freaks out and miss his shot. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.